Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of most ages, welcome back to another episode of Don't Be So Brewed.
I know, guys. I'm sorry. He demanded right before we started, so I had no choice.
Like I popped him on surprise.
Don't mind my voice, by the way. Let me just address it right now. There was a lot of yelling on some very awesome foosball matches on my Saturday night that led to...
Foosball.
Yeah, they had a... We'll get into it where I was, but they had a massive foosball table that you could get up to 4 people playing on each side. It was huge. So each person could have 2 handles.
Each person normally has 2 handles.
Well, when you're working the whole board, if it's one-on-one, you've got 4 on each side. I'm talking you have
Everyone's got 2 handles, each of the 4 people.
Yeah.
That's just a really long board.
How would you squeeze 4 people in on a regular?
2 on each side.
Yeah, I'm talking 4 on
4
each
on
side.
each side.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
talking
talking
normal. That's cool.
Yeah, it was massive. It was awesome. Anyways.
So who the heck are you anyway, man?
Yeah, I'm like, who is this person? People probably can't even recognize. Anyways, let's just let Scott keep rolling with this. He has to do all the cheap plugs. He has to talk about where we're at. He has to do all this stuff.
That's right. So first and foremost, my name is Scott Zimmy Zimmerman. This is my bro host, Dr. Double B, Dr. Brandon, Dr. Burgundy. Today he's Dr. Blue. Any color that starts with B.
Anything with a B,
that's
I'm
this
in
guy's
it.
wardrobe right
Blue,
here.
Black, burgundy.
We'd like to thank our sponsors.
They're
Specific
cheap, but we like
Chiropractor
them.
Center Richardson. # cheap plug. Etches. # cheap plug. Red Light Media. What is it?
# cheap plug.
Right on.
This guy's on like another level today, Zool. I don't know that you're ready for this.
You know what this is? This is the morning brew.
I know.
So, following up from last week, actually before that, if you're new, thank you for coming. If you're returning, thank you for coming back again. This is episode number 12? 12. That means we're 3 months in.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive.
And we're killing it.
I mean, we've had people reach out and say, been loving you, been watching you. Amazing that you guys have stuck to it. They call it stick-to-itness.
Yep. I mean, I think we're at almost 350 downloads in 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't think we're committed to that, sorely mistaken.
Listen, we've been doing all the things. We've been pulling out all the bells and whistles. We're on everywhere you can imagine. We upload this thing on all the podcast platforms.
Yep.
It's on YouTube. We Facebook premiere it and hang out with you guys live to have fun, which is kind of interesting because you have to sit there and listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Which is almost like a very strange thing.
It's
but
fun,
I also
though,
think it's
man.
funny because I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, do you laugh at your own
Oh,
jokes?
I laugh all the time.
I do too.
Yeah, I'm that person anyway. I'll tell a joke and I'll start laughing and everyone kind of sits there awkwardly and I'm like, well, I thought it was funny. That's all that matters.
You know, it's really funny when you laugh the second time around.
Oh, yeah, every time. Listen, that's what we always say about this podcast for those of you that are new. Ultimately, we want to make you laugh. We want to be, everybody's got different forms of escapism now. We want this to be one that's entertaining and fun. We want to take a little stress off your plate, whether it's first thing in the morning or right now as you're watching us probably Wednesday night.
Take a little stress off your plate either first thing in the morning or before you go to bed at night.
Yep, whatever we can do. I've had a lot of people asking where are we at in the standings. I've had some people ask me about that, how we're finding that.
Yep.
People were curious, people with other podcasts. I'm like, listen, it's all in the stats, guys. You just got to know your stats super well. So we've actually jumped up. So we're officially the 280th best podcast in the world.
That's what, 3 spots since
That's 3
2 weeks
spots
ago?
since last time. It could have been less, but we didn't look last week. It was my fault. I didn't check the stats that time. But we got them this time. And listen, this isn't some made-up thing. If you're watching on YouTube, you got what I just did there. This isn't some made-up thing at all. Bing. I'll do a little sound effect for the people.
Could we do a little star thing in there on the edit, Zool?
It's just statistically proven. I mean, it's no joke that we're the best new podcast of 2019.
That's right, and you can't argue with the stats.
Doesn't mean
the numbers
best,
are numbers.
just of 2019.
That's right.
We're coming for Joe Rogan. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
It's up to you, people. You can do it.
You guys
Make
can
it
help us
happen.
do that. And listen, just to hit on that super quick, because we keep talking about this, the fact that we're talking about everyone, I mean, you guys know last week for Kyle, who's running for council, everything that we're doing is a billboard that's going to be constantly staying up. So we are still looking for people who want to be sponsored, who want to jump in on the early deal. If you're one of the first ones, you're going to be glad that you took advantage of it, because after that, as I know Scott will get ridiculously priced.
That's right.
And then
don't
you'll
come
be in
crying to
trouble.
me later. Just don't. Because it ain't going to work. So last week it was right around Easter. Mm-hmm. We were talking about a number of different things, but one of the things we popped up on at the end was Peeps, and we've spoken about Peeps before here on the show, and we know you don't like them.
No. I have a feeling he's going to make me eat these.
I'll have you eat one, or at least a little nibble or a bite.
Okay.
You might really like them. So I'm of the 20 to 30% of the population that eat Peeps that like to eat them stale. I know, weird, right?
I'm waiting for them to market that. I'm telling you, like, hey, this is the stale pack.
Hey, man.
We got holes in them.
Peeps could be the sponsor. I mean, they could be the ones that get the deal.
Yeah, Peeps.
Every holiday.
You owe us money.
Where are my Peeps at? I mean, come on, right? So, here we go. We're going to do a little taste test here for Dr. B again.
So while you're getting that out,
These have been cracked open for about a week.
since we still got everyone fresh, Scott, before we try this,
No, let's just dive in.
well, give me one, and I got
God, I
something
don't
on
want
it.
to. You mind my fingers? I mean, I filled up my tank with gas this morning. You feel the difference in the consistency, right?
Yeah, because I'm very, very familiar with Peeps.
Give it a squeeze. Tell people what you're feeling. And
So it's kind of sticky on the
Zul,
sides.
do you want one? Oh, come on, don't be a bitch, man. You could do this.
It's kind of sand-like on top, you know.
Sand, yeah, I could feel the sand.
It kind of looks like a marshmallow turd that somebody shaped into a bird, you know.
Someone call that shit.
Chicken shit.
Chicken shit.
That's all that is.
Is that different? Is that different from the rainbow unicorn poop from the?
Oh God! What?
Squatty potty?
Yeah, from the squatty potty. And it's staring at me very lovingly right now.
It's like it's fear, like it's kind of leaned back, like you gonna eat this?
Well, it just gave up. It's one of those like these are chickens that just gave up, basically. Little chicks that just were like, I changed my mind.
So you're gonna be a nibbler? Or are you just gonna throw this thing down?
What would you prefer? I mean, you're the expert on this. Like, what Scott's trying to do here is sell me on stale Peeps. Like, oh, if you don't like them regular, eat them like this.
Like, you know.
And so since he's the expert, I have to be taught
like
how
for
do you eat this.
You know, if I'm
this is like if we're teaching someone how to eat a corn dog.
Yeah, like if I'm alone, I might be like a 2 or 3 bite guy. Mm-hmm. But if I'm like trying to sneak one and not let the rest of the family know that I'm eating them, I might just throw the whole thing in.
You just drop the whole bomb.
That's exactly right.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it'll fit.
Of course
you've got a big mouth. I mean, it'll fit. Why don't you just start with a little bite? Since
like how he's talking about me and then or himself, and then he flips it on me like it'll fit. Well, and on you too. You got a big mouth. You got a big mouth. I'm like, oh, okay.
All right, ready?
Yeah, sure. Cheers.
Cheers.
Dink it and sink it. Spongy.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy. Now it's melting. I'm sure this is really an entertaining podcast.
I'm just waiting for you to swallow. I mean, that's it.
There's almost nothing left to swallow. It like disintegrates into these like weird little lumps.
You're a heck of a chewer.
Listen, I'm just trying to make sure you know it's carryover. we'll do a little ASMR for our listeners.
So is it horrible? Is it?
No, it's not horrible.
Okay.
I mean, just so I'm not chewing on the mic. I'll finish it when we're done, just for Scott.
Okay. That's fair. That means it wasn't like.
No, it's not the worst experience. It's just I'm very much when I pick to eat something like that, I'm like I'm gonna pick the thing that I like know I want. I'm not one of those like, oh, I'll eat this thing and this thing. Like I try not to.
No, I
eat
follow.
Stuff like,
it's like it's not wasting the calories.
Yeah, it's
right?
for me. It's like I'm very picky on that. So my family always gets on me about that. I'm just not the person of like they're like, oh, well, you're so disciplined. Like you can say no. I'm like, no, I can't. If that was a brownie, I would have eaten the whole tray. If it was something that I like. Oh God, he just cocained your counter over here.
Hey man, I'll clean this up. You got a razor blade over there?
Got a note card over there. He's got to line this thing up.
Serving size is 5 chicks.
Chicks.
That's what they call them right here.
How many calories is that?
140.
Okay.
You didn't even hit half your daily requirement.
Yeah,
I mean, you could eat that whole thing, and
it's no problem.
I mean, it's only 34 grams of sugar. I mean, that's what, 4 days worth of sugar?
Yeah, it's like a Mountain Dew's worth. Like half a
For
Mountain
5
Dew's worth, actually. Yeah, I'm like, it's about half.
I mean, I can't even eat 5 in a sitting. I mean, that's just a lot. That's like an insulin spike. Like,
yeah,
nobody's business.
It's a lot of marshmallow cram in your stomach.
Cram.
So, Scott, we did something to our loyal fans last week.
We did.
And they don't know about it yet.
They don't. But you'll be watching last week's episode
And so now
again.
you're going to have to go back and watch last week's episode again. Kyle, you're welcome.
That's right. We should make him pay for this. Right?
We should, right?
We should. So here's the deal. Last week, we dropped in 6 different sayings that...
You had 3 and I had 3.
We each had 3 that might have been a little abnormal, but might have looked like they were part of the regular show. But we, before the show, said that we were going to come in here and somehow fit these in. And we decided to make a competition of it.
Yeah, so you guys have seen, more than likely, you know who Jimmy Fallon is. So
Yep.
Jimmy Fallon likes to do this with, usually with athletes. He'll have them, hey, while you guys are getting interviewed, try to drop these in. So I know he's done it with Steph Curry, but when they had the big golf tournament recently, he did it with a lot of those guys, and they had sayings that they had to do. Like, there's one where a lady's talking to Tiger Woods about this shot, and she's like, yeah, so tell me about the whatever on hole 6. And he was like, yeah, it was awesome because Tony Danza was in the stanza. It's just literally, and there's like these, swing it and ding it was another one that they had to do. Just like, hey, what's your plan? And it's like, I'm just going to go out there, stay really focused. I'm just going to try to swing it and ding it.
So here's the deal. They are hidden in there, and they are hidden so good that there was even one that I did that we all forgot that I did.
Yeah, we didn't. I thought you missed one.
I thought I did too. And I was upset at the end. Remember, I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
how did I miss that one?" Because that was a real easy one, but it's in there. So here's the deal, folks. Find all 6.
I think it has to be like we got to give them a percentage.
Okay, let's do this.
Find all 6.
Find all
next.
6. $100 bill.
All right.
Okay, find all 6 $100 bill.
I'm down for that.
Here are the rules. You got to like our Don't Be So Brewed podcast page on Facebook. You got to share it, and you got to share your answer, and you got to post it to that site. You find you post the 6. The first one to post all 6 accurate, $100 bill. What if they find 5?
If they find 5, you want to make it 50?
$50.
Okay. Same thing. So you have to share your answers, tag us in the post. So you're saying like post on Facebook, share us in that.
They got to like our page. Okay. Don't Be So Brewed podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They got to post on the page what their answers are, and they got to share their answer.
Okay. I like that.
Okay.
I'm down for that.
That's pretty straight up.
Yep.
That's simple. So $100, first place, all 6. $50, second place, you find 5. And third place, we'll throw in a Don't Be So Brewed podcast tumbler.
Of course.
Boom. So we got third place, you got to find 4.
Okay. So they find 4, they get a tumbler.
They get a tumbler. So I got this written down.
Okay.
They're in there. It may have something to do with the content. It may not. Best of luck. Look forward to seeing you online. Check out the last episode. This is all in episode 11.
Yep. We actually have a really amazing story. Probably one of the best stories we've had on here. We like to think we've got some cool-ass stories. That was a cool story.
Some would
that
call it
Kyle
a
had.
cliffhanger, but it wasn't. It was a cliff faller.
Yep.
So, amazing story. You guys definitely need to go check it out. Got a chance to win $100 listening to our podcast. Tell others about it. See what you think. Let's see where it goes.
Everybody wins.
So, dude.
Bonus points if you use hashtag GPlug.
And hashtag best podcast.
That's right. And hashtag
Now, let's
best
not make it
podcast.
overcomplicated. I mean, we're obviously trying to get our name out there. We appreciate all of you. And this is just another way that we could, start to give back to everybody.
I already know who's going to try to win this. I already got to guess.
Dude.
I know a couple of our crazy, crazy loyal fans that are going to be all over this.
I got to tell you, man, I had the most amazing weekend. Like I didn't really work a whole lot. I had a couple little jobs to knock out, but I didn't go nuts working. And I kind of overcommitted myself to a bunch of things. And
I know how that goes.
And it was fun stuff, though. It ended up being really cool. So Friday night, I got to share this story because this could eclipse last week.
Oh,
this could eclipse just on humor. Now, I think Kyle's was a very serious story.
Yeah,
This one's funny as shit.
Okay.
So
only at the Don't Be So Brewed podcast.
That's right.
A story like this.
That's right. So I got invited to a cornhole tournament.
Okay, yeah, I saw this. I was going to go, but I was out of town, obviously, myself.
This was the notorious BIG cornhole tournament. So the way this works is an organization got together, and I apologize, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. They got together. They get all the elementaries.
They don't get a plug. It's fine.
I know. They got to pay to play people. And that's just the way this works here, right? We just conveniently not remember.
Sorry.
So it was pretty cool. So they get all the elementary school dads and parents together. 30 people per school, so there were almost 400 people out there.
Dang, okay.
And kind of starts with a double elimination within your school, and then the best from your school go in, and they start to compete against everybody else. And it was really cool. There was a lot of support out there. Each school, if you had all your slots filled, was guaranteed, I think, a minimum of $3,000 or $3,500 raised for the school. So, I mean, ultimately, regardless of whatever the business model was, there was a significant component of giving back to the schools, which is fantastic. So, started out pretty good. We got there, got going, really sucked at cornhole this time around. Like, usually I'm pretty good. I mean, if it doesn't involve running, like, that's my game. You know what I mean? Like, so foosball, pretty solid. Cornhole, pretty, like, the only thing that doesn't involve running that I'm not good at is pool, billiards. But I think that takes skill. So there's a component there. So me and my partner, Jonathan Hageman, we got double eliminated pretty quickly.
So is this like official too? Like, because if you do like official distance between the boards,
this was official.
Like, okay, yeah, it's pretty far.
27 foot.
Most people
that's
just
almost
sit there.
9 yards. I mean, if you think of like a football field, that's almost a complete hash. So we get in, we're eating it. They give a couple of plates of food, and then I'm over getting a beer, and I see this guy's shirt. It said RFG Roofing and Construction, and I've been dealing with a guy from this company that I never actually met, just with etches. So I'm like, "Are you so and so?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Dude, Scott Zimmerman." He's like, "Dude," I'm like, "So this is the event you had this weekend?" And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Man, what a small world." And then I see another buddy of mine, Richard Leach, and he's over at this barbecue pit smoking meat. And I'm like, "Oh shit, this is awesome."
Yeah. Well,
so I go over, I start hanging with them. So Richard works for a company called Choice, who's another client, and CEO of the company's there, and he's, this is his smoker, and he's doing all this cooking. It was pretty badass. So where things got interesting, around 8:30 or so, the barbecue's done, and it was all donated by RFG. I mean, they really took care of things, and they start serving, but the line starts backing up. So being a good Zimmy, jump into action. Right? I'm like, "Guys, let me serve. You just make sure the food's coming off," right? So we're serving, and it's a real simple menu, right? We got chicken legs, and we got sausage.
Perfect.
Okay? And the chicken legs are coming faster than the sausage. So people are coming through. We're getting this line served up quick. And we get to the point where we run out of sausage, and people are like, "Well, I want to wait for the sausage." I'm like, "That's cool." So I quickly spring into action. I split the line. I'm like, sausage on this side, chicken on this side. Let's keep it going, right? We're moving it through. So this lady comes up, and she asks the question of the night, to which I gave the answer of the night. Her question, ready for this? How long is the sausage going to be? My answer, about 12 inches. Now,
you should have saved that as your closing. That should have been your closing.
We might be able to tie it back in somewhere here, right? About 12 inches. This woman, initially anyway, looked quite mortified. Like, I was sitting there like, man, I might have picked the wrong person to pop a joke like this onto.
Yeah.
Right? She runs back to her husband in line, and I lean back to the guys, and I'm like, "Hey, I might have just screwed you guys a little bit." And he's like, "What happened?" And I said, "You know how you can't please everybody?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I was just having kind of a good time up here, popping off, being me."
Yep.
And
I was about to say, everyone that's watching this already knows.
And I tell him the joke, and he's like, "Dude." He's like, "That was the funniest thing I've ever heard." I mean, I felt like I was in Step Brothers. It was like, "I think we just became best friends." And I'm like, "Yes."
Yes.
So she goes back to her husband. I'm kind of watching the situation, and he's just kind of shaking it off. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, that was funny. Like, anyone she goes, like, if she's mortified and she goes and tells that to anybody,
they're gonna
think she's a schmo. They're going to laugh at it. So she comes back later in the night that the guys told me, because they were cutting up some brisket. They made like some brisket for themselves towards the end.
Nice,
That's a good reward for
what they had to do.
All they
had
to do. I mean, starting a smoke at 5:30 in the morning, serving at 9 at night. I mean, that takes a bit. So she comes back and she's like, 12 inches wants some brisket. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I go find her and I'm like, hey, I just, I thought what happened earlier was funny. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry if you got offended, but I'm not sorry for doing it.
Well, and I get it. Listen, you're just trying to be,
I mean, I was only 7 or 8 beers in. I mean, they even ran out of Shiner. I couldn't believe it.
How do you do that?
So, I mean, for us, I think it was an $85 buy-in to play, but you got free food, free beer, free. I paid $85, so I had to make sure I got at least my money's worth.
And a story for your podcast.
And a story for the ages, not just the podcast. I mean, just the way it was asked, like, it was just so perfectly served up. I felt like I was playing t-ball, and this thing was just dropped on the tee at the right height. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I just knocked that sucker out of the park. Those are my favorite moments. Is when I'm perpetually that person. So anyone on here that really knows me knows that I'm always that person that is waiting for the inappropriate joke that can be made about anything that you say. And so those are my favorite. When something just gets, something gets softball tossed to you, and you're just like, you just recognize it, and you're like, oh baby. Dude,
I'm about to just crank this thing.
I mean, I got home late. Like, even the ride home from this event was interesting. I was riding home with 2 buddies in an Uber. This Uber was all decked out. It was a Suburban. He had LED lights throughout it. He had a karaoke machine in the truck. Mm-hmm. And we were feeling pretty good. So, I covertly did some karaoke. That might have been the least manly thing that I've done. Wildly under the influence.
I don't consider that unmanly, but I consider it very unzimmy. I would consider that not
mildly out of character.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that.
I might be getting more comfortable with the microphone here. I don't know.
Good.
I was atrocious at karaoke, as I thought I would be.
The real question is, what did you sing?
What the heck was it? I think it was a Bruno Mars song.
Oh,
we started out with Michael Jackson.
You didn't get to pick your song?
We did.
Oh, okay.
We did, but I didn't know most of the songs on this guy's
I was about to say, a lot of people have like their go-to.
This guy was good, guy. I mean, I'll have to get his info. I mean, he was fun, and he really knew the song, but it was his iPad too, so I guess,
of course.
If you're the driver, the host, you're supposed to know what's going on.
Yeah, you got to know all that stuff. You got to have that on there. But most people have a go-to,
Yeah.
What's your go-to? Matter of fact, I know people are going to be watching this on Facebook right now. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song.
Everybody's got
we
one.
Got to post that up there for sure. I'm making note of that.
I was about to say, I think
not
that's...
everybody, because I didn't have one.
Well, that's because you're Scott. You're like the guy that's like, I'm too manly to do karaoke. And then you're like, well, I told a sausage joke earlier. I'm kind of riding a high. I think I'm gonna play. I'm not gonna sit out on this one. I'm gonna play it through.
I think I've already had my meat for the week. You know what I mean?
But no, I think that's cool. I always love to see everyone's got, and usually they're like classics. Everyone wants to go with like a classic, like
Journey.
Oh yeah, it's always got to be this. It's got to be, Bon Jovi. Wanted. Everybody's got their song that's like, and if you're smart, you pick a song everybody else wants to sing, so they don't just have to hear you.
So you get drowned out.
Yeah,
so that it's successful.
So that they can drown you out for sure. But you gotta figure that out, man. You're gonna have to lock in your go-to karaoke song. That way, I don't
know that I'm looking to get that serious about it.
I think you should, though. I think we should have we'll have to have a live event where everyone can come out and karaoke with the Don't Be So Brewed boys.
That might be interesting.
That would be
buzzworthy.
That would be buzzworthy.
That is what is expected of the best new podcast of 2019.
It is.
We're just going to have to deliver.
So
it ain't even a matter of stepping it up.
No.
We just got to deliver.
I was about to say, we're always a step up. I mean, obviously.
Every week.
People are like, wow, that was so arrogant.
No, it's not arrogant. It's brewed.
Well, wait till you hear this next comment.
What you got?
So you had your stuff going on this weekend. I had stuff going on for myself as well. I might actually make this the clickbait for this video, but I hung out with Donald Trump this weekend.
Okay.
Like, for real.
That's right. You're in Indianapolis, weren't you?
I was in Indianapolis.
And so was the NRA convention.
Yeah. So we were staying at the same place. We had our team meeting. So twice a year, just real quick to set the story.
Or a picture or anything? Or you just in the same building?
No, we were just like where he was. I totally was thinking about this. And I'm like,
so did he get the presidential suite? I mean, you would hope so, right?
Oh, dude, the rooms where we had our meeting were so insane. Everybody else stayed at like some Airbnb or something like that. It was crazy. So like twice a year, what we do is we get all the doctors together with my group, the specific chiropractic centers. Yes, we are a franchise, but that's an awesome thing. I know a lot of people. That's something we might talk about eventually. Like people look at this thing and they see franchise and they're like, oh, that's a bad thing. And for us, it's been great. And I love having a team, and we get together twice a year to make sure we're constantly improving and growing our brand and moving forward and staying on the same page with everything. And that was this last weekend. It was in Indianapolis, Indiana. We just opened up a new office in Carmel, Indiana. And so I drove up there again, by the way, because I'm cheap and tickets were too ridiculous. So over this weekend, over the past 2 weeks, I've drove 52 hours in my car. You know what that means?
Time for an oil change.
No, I changed it before I left.
How many miles you put on? About 2,000?
Yeah, you're probably right. I probably did.
You're getting close.
Yeah, but I do synthetic. Synthetic's supposed to go up to like 7.
Maybe. Depends on the car. But keep going.
Yeah, no, trust me.
Let's not get diverted.
I'm close to hitting. I'm close to hitting 100 on that bad boy. I'm still a little ways off, but I was like, man, that would be cool. I'm like, but it's not gonna happen here. But anyways, we were trying to figure out like what's the craziness going on this weekend. Like the hotel, it was like $500 a night. We're like, what the hell's going on here? Well, it's the NRA meeting. Mm-hmm. They're having stuff all around us. There's like a whole, like showcase something where people were like selling products where people could like meet other vendors and other things. Yep. All this crazy stuff. And they warned us like, hey, this is probably going to be crazy. We do this thing to make sure that we're always on time. We get fined if we're late. And so Saturday they were like, listen, this is when Trump and Pence are going to be here. You guys might want to make sure you're getting in super early, which it wasn't as crazy as we thought. But it was one of those things where everyone thought it was going to be insane. A lot of people, I had no idea. This is how unplugged I am from most things other than like stuff that I want to talk to them about. But I was thinking about it and I was like, we always want to talk about stuff that we have or stories or telling sausage jokes. And I was like, what did I do this weekend? And I'm like, oh man, that's really good clickbait. I'm like, I was with Donald Trump in the same city. This is basically the same thing.
You guys like flushed down the same drains pretty much.
Yeah, it was, proximity. We're in the same town as the Dallas Cowboys. It's one of those.
But he wasn't
things.
playing foosball with you guys.
No, we couldn't get him to come out for that. We will eventually. We're not quite there yet. How awesome would that have been? Just randomly, not that they could do anything.
Would have been huge.
Would have been huge. For anyone who doesn't like Trump, they just fast forwarded on this. It's fine. It's
whatever. Okay. Don't got to please everybody. So I had a pretty similar experience. I didn't run into Trump, and I wasn't in Indianapolis, but I did attend my first ever gun show this weekend.
Why would you? Been? I've never been to a gun show. Well,
I hadn't either.
I've been to like a lower level. You can like like a gun and knife show. I guess I have been to one of those in Tulsa before. You walk through. It's if you're anyone who likes guns, it's fascinating.
Oh, it's stuff that absolutely amazing.
And the stuff that you guys could actually do is what intrigues me because and
that's what intrigued me too, because I was like, I've never done this. I'm learning this market. We've been decorators historically, but we will take something that you've created and make it unique, make it special. And my daughter was at a dance competition over in Fort Worth on Saturday and Sunday, which they got first place across the board, by the way, which was absolutely outstanding.
Of course they did. She's good.
She is.
You guys should go watch that video of our Facebook Live if you don't believe it.
Totally. So so my wife was out there Saturday with her, and she's like, hey, there's a gun show like right in the building next door. You should come out here with me on Sunday to check it out. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea because I was going to get roped into going out there anyway to watch the dance competition on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So I figured this was a good use of time versus just sitting around waiting for my daughter's act to come on. Mm-hmm. We'd go check out the gun show. So I went with my oldest daughter, Danielle, who's 11.
There's a joke there, but I'm going to leave it alone.
Go ahead, say it.
No, it's just, I always love the tickets to the gun show. There's just so many.
Well, I'll show you a funny picture, and we could post this online. So this was my daughter, Danielle. We saw the gun show sign when we got there. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, we got this picture in front of the gun show sign. It was absolutely hilarious. And if you're watching on YouTube, You get what I'm doing right now, and if you're not, envision me making a couple muscles for the gun show.
She was pulling an Arnold. She was flexing it up.
So we went in there. It was pretty interesting. You know, when you see all those, there's a lot of politically driven posts from the left side and the right side. A lot of these folks were on one of those sides. I mean, there's absolutely no question about it.
As you can imagine, yeah.
It was the original Facebook Live. Let me tell you that. It was very interesting.
Oh man!
But even the swag they were selling there and all that, it was kind of intriguing. And the audience that was selling was a lot of older folks. You know, they've kind of been around a while, and you know, you had things from relics to make your own AR to, you know, all kinds of different things, and it's pretty interesting. We ended up buying something there. We bought a bottle of honey.
Oh,
from the gun show.
I know. I was waiting to be like, what did you buy?
Yeah, we didn't buy anything because our F.A.F.O is, you know, coming in at the end, and well, should be this week. You know, we got all approved for that, so it's a lot easier for us to buy and transfer weapons when we've got the F.A.F.O. But we bought a bottle of honey. There was a honey vendor there, and we got chatting with him. My daughter was like enamored. Initially, she was afraid, but they had bees in like a honeycomb in a case to be like attract people in, and they had jalapeno honey, and they had all these different kinds of honey, which were actually really very good. And he was saying if honeybees fell off the face of the planet today, we would have 3 years till we're wiped out, just because there's no pollinators out there. And I was just like, man, that's like kind of insane.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. You
hear this a lot, right? Yeah. That if the bees go away, we're absolutely finished, and they've been diminishing. There's absolutely no question about it. But it was kind of interesting because he was kind of taking my daughter through it, and, you know, she was getting a little bit of a real life education there. It was kind of neat. And then the other thing that was real interesting to her, my daughter, who's a very young and budding entrepreneur. I mean, she's got her own dog walking business and
love it.
Anything to make a buck. I mean, she's definitely my child.
I was about to say, I wonder where she gets that
Definitely
from.
My child. And she was very interested in money. Like, there were coin collectors there, which is really kind of interesting. If you've got any appreciation for like history and you know, the evolution of currency. I mean, she was like, "Oh, Dad, look, Indian head penny, and you know, why is this quarter worth this much money?" I mean, there were $50 worth $25.
Yeah, it's the rarity of stuff like that. Yeah, you know, the currency market.
And the people were cool. And again, much older audience. And folks, if you're entrepreneurs out there and you've got hobbies like that you're interested in, I encourage you to go in and try and get some of these businesses going. I think there's still incredible opportunity out there. I think there's a lot of folks that'll probably be entering retirement in the next 5 to 7 years, leaving amazing levels of opportunity open in these fields that really haven't been disrupted or, you know, taken to that next level. So I definitely encourage you to check it out. I mean, I was walking through this gun show. I'll be the first to admit I am not fully educated on guns yet. I know enough to be dangerous, and I guess that's a gun pun.
I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same.
Right, but I used to go to baseball card shows as a kid. I used to go to computer shows where you could buy computer parts and all that. And like, I understood the concept, right? Because if it were like a baseball card show and you had that Mickey Mantle rookie card or that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card,
those things are coming back. By the way, there's a rumor that those are going to be trending back up and like trading. I
hope so, because I've still got a bunch of them in boxes, sealed. If anybody's looking for baseball cards for a good deal, let me know, because I got a bunch I'd like to get rid of. But all that. I mean, the computer shows we used to go, and you used to, you know, buy your games on the 3.5-inch floppies, and, you know, it was kind of cool. You know, so it was kind of a eye-opening experience. There was some stuff there that was a little disturbing even to me. I mean, there was a vendor there that was selling like Nazi war relics. Like they buy German weapons and resell, but they had swastikas kind of all over their stuff, which was a little like, okay, I mean, free country. Yeah, you know, you do what you got to do. They weren't pushing their thing. They weren't dressed up in uniform or anything like that.
But I get it. It's a niche.
Market.
Yeah, it's a niche of that market,
and people want it, and it's kind of interesting stuff. But yeah, that was my first gun show experience.
Interesting. So what about the customization side? Because I know you guys do a ton of that, and I think that's the thing that fascinates me.
It was kind of cool, man. You know, there were only, and I walked the whole show. There were 3 shops that had it as an option. I mean, this place was huge. Huge. I mean, there had to be there had to be at least 100 plus vendors there. So out of 100, if 3 of them had it, that's 3%. There was one guy with a laser engraver there, but he had no personality. He wasn't bringing people in. He looked like a lump. When you go to these shows, if you're just sitting around not talking to people, you ain't doing anything.
No good. Yeah.
So it was cool. He had the laser. He had something to draw people in. I could have just been simply like, hey, come check this out. See how this works. This is really cool.
Yeah, I was about to say that's something I never even think of, but I'm sure gun shows and stuff like that are way more popular than you think. And even you talking about the honey guy, I'm like, I could go do one of those for fun and just be the person that sticks out of like, why does this person have a booth?
Right. I mean, and
changes
you've
things
been to
up.
shows. Like we've got Wildflower coming up here in Richardson. I mean, there's almost always a chiropractor that says, hey, let me do a free assessment, or have one of your massage people there that are promoting themselves as well. 5-minute chair massage. People are walking around all day. I mean, there's different strategies to get. It's not a matter of getting a client there. It's for those of us that are vendors, it's a matter of trying to get a lead. Trying to get.
Well, and you're getting yourself out there.
You
meet people you never know. Like, especially with what you do, if you team up with somebody that wants to add personalization to improve what they're offering to their people, but they don't know how to. Well, now they've met a guy. Hey, I can do this. What are you looking for? This is what we do.
Right.
Which is brilliant from just going out to meet people. That's essentially a distribution channel for you.
I feel like we need to get a Don't Be So Brewed booth, maybe at Wildflower. Now, I don't know if they're still available this year, but that could be interesting for next year.
Yeah, we could also talk about being brought out to certain things so that we could use that to promote.
Do that live
we could try to figure out,
exactly.
We could literally make sure that it's live on Facebook. We could do all that stuff. There's ways to do it where we could still record it and it's live. It could be like a separate thing, and that would be really cool to go out and support people. But obviously, like you guys know, we want to get the word out about this show, so that would be. I didn't mean for this to turn into a strategy
let's
session.
Let's be real though, right? Yeah. Like this is how it happens. Like you got to go talk to people. You got to talk to your friends. You got to strategize, and then you come up with the ideas, and then you got to execute. Because it just being in your head and not talking to anybody and not spitballing it back and forth doesn't get anywhere. This is how it happens.
Well, and it's things like that help get the word out. I don't even think I told you the other day about I just now when I'm meeting people in public, if I can refer back to when we record these, I'll refer like the last one that we recorded was when it was raining like crazy. And I was talking to someone and I was like, when I was recording my podcast last night, when we left my house, it was raining bad. Then where we recorded it, when we left there, it was raining bad. And he was like, oh man, I know. And then we were talking about the weather a little bit. And then he goes, well, what's your podcast? And I was like, oh man, check this out. Go over here. Didn't have an iPhone. I'm like, go check out Spotify. It's on there. If you've got that, here's where, just one person at a time. I know it's not the most effective way, and you guys are about to help us with this contest.
But you got to realize it is. Right? Like, I'm a big believer in relationship-based sales and relationship-based business because without the relationship, not much happens. Right? There's no, main site that collects every single request for proposal in existence. You find out about it because you know somebody. And if you have a really good relationship with them, you have an opportunity to win that bid.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's point blank.
Well, and that's how we've basically grown this from what we've done. It's just people locally that we know that are close that are telling us. And then, all of our friends over in Norway and all those people that we've really leveraged.
In Japan and China.
And all those.
But even looking at a lot of that, like when, and I think I've mentioned this before on here, and if I haven't, I've been just talking a lot about it, but for our friends that are salespeople, when they go for a sales job, it's like, who do you know? Who are you going to bring to us? It's not till after you start that they're like, all right, we need you to make 50 phone calls a day and have 16 meetings a week and all that. No matter what they think, it's relationship based. And those that drive the business, the companies leave alone. They don't care. They do not care. As long as the money's coming in, they leave you alone.
I was about to say, that's the intelligent decision, is because that's how they know. That's how a lot of stuff is done. The person, that has the relationships now has the leverage. We talk about people we want to meet, or, hey, I want to get to know this guy, or any of that stuff. It's like, obviously that's usually why they have the leverage. They know people that you're like, man, if I can get in close with that guy and I can know that guy. And I'm also one of those, like, even what you're talking about, I like to actually get to know those people, not, hey, can I use you to connect to this? It's like, I would love to connect to that guy because he's connected, and I want to be able to make an impact in this community. So how do I do that? Is by knowing a guy that's already been doing it. Like, that's that's why we're bringing people on here to do that. That's why we had Kyle on here to be able to talk about this. Like, he's someone that's trying to do something, especially for small business owners in Richardson. I think that's crucial. So I 100% agree. I think that's one of those things that it gets my brain spinning because I'm like, you know, with chiropractors, you'll see them out at anything. They'll be at a grocery store. They hassle you. I'm like, we always do that a little bit differently anyway.
Shoe shine?
Yeah, it's like shaking a spine at you. We always do ours a little bit differently to make it fun, and like we'll have games and like, hey, guess how many peeps are in this jar? Like we'll do fun stuff like that and give something away. But it's also like I wouldn't expect.
See what's happening?
Yeah. Well, it was what was on the table.
Peeps have now come into play. Like,
yeah, so I can waste them so that nobody has to eat them and put them in a jar. So I don't let them get stale, and then I'll just give the jar to Scott.
This is where the texture comes in. He's like, I want to push them in, get the sand on my hands.
Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna guess how many peeps are in the jar and how many calories and how much sugar.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
We
See,
have like a 3-part
total
contest.
it up. Yeah, it's like this is what you could do. But I would never think about being the person that's being the outlier within an event. I think is huge because I've gone to some things like the Holistic Festival. I'm almost an outlier, and like, you know, I'm not into some of these things that these people really get into. So I don't do those anymore, to be honest, because it's so hard to differentiate yourself. You go to that stuff, there could be 12 chiropractors there, and I get it. I can explain why you would want to come see me over them.
Right.
But I don't have a relationship with you, so are you really going to listen to that? Like, you know me, you would understand that. But if you don't know me, you're just like, you know, did you like my quick spiel? Because if you did, I can, and if you didn't, like, don't worry, the guy next to that, and the guy next to that, and the guy next to that booth is all that. Versus like a gun show, I doubt there's ever anyone like that. And I bet that honey guy kills it because like, oh.
Well, the honey guy had personality. He was engaging. He wasn't sitting behind the table like a lump. He was in front, like he does what I do. He was in front of his booth. He was going out, grabbing people, talking to people. I mean, and you got something to show. Hey, check out our bees. Want to taste our honey?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to taste your honey.
Well, and he's got a product. It's super easy to be like, hey, you want to try that? You know, you want to check this out? Like,
and I was throwing puns at him the whole time I was there. He was talking to somebody, and they're like, man, this is really good. And I was like, no, dude, that's sweet. That's honey sweet. You know, I mean, it was really...
Naturally, you would have to.
Dude,
right?
if it were my honey business, it'd be called Funny Honey.
Funny Honey.
Right? And
with your face on it like this?
We would just make...
With your IP in the pool hat?
IP in the pool. IP in the honey.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if you want that on your brand. Maybe. I mean, that's completely up to you. I won't choose your business model for you, but
I'm all about humor, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Funny Honey.
I was about to say everyone knows that we're about that. That's an obvious. That's a given. I think with anything.
That's exactly right.
It's always, where can I sneak in a pun? Where can I make a joke?
So what else we got? I know there were some headlines that were pretty interesting.
Yeah, so
Headlines.
I feel like we would be letting our peeps down if we didn't at least mention and talk about the fact that Avengers, the last movie, Endgame, is killing it right now.
$1.2 billion.
Somebody said they're going to surpass Avatar. Avatar had the record, and I guess they're going to surpass them on...
I think they smoked it for an opening weekend. I mean, I think it's got to get over $2.5 billion in total to get the record, which I think it's going to breeze right past it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know people that are seeing it for the third time. I haven't got to see it yet.
Man, I think we've spoken about this before. I haven't been to a theater in a long time. I'm not a big fan of crowds, just like with the concerts and stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to wait.
That's why you got to go to the theaters that have the recliners, man. That's the way to go.
Yeah, but I mean, even Zul, when we were talking about this earlier, was telling us the lines were like ridiculous. And if I'm going to enjoy beautiful 80-degree weather, it's not going to be standing in line somewhere.
It's true.
That's just me. And then to go sit in the...
I don't think they're like that anymore. They shouldn't be. Now that everything's been open, I doubt you would have to wait like that. That's
probably
that
not
part.
Now.
That part is probably over. I would hope.
But if 20% of those people are like, that was totally awesome, I want to go see it again. I mean, it'll still be a little crazy at the theater. I think. Mm-hmm. Probably 2-3 weeks before that dies down enough to get to a point where I get to go with my little crew and we sit there in a mostly empty theater.
Mm-hmm. You're that guy.
I am totally that guy.
I can
and
totally
it's not like
see
a Pee Wee Herman thing. It's just,
Oh my gosh.
I just don't.
I hope people get that.
Don't like
I really hope people get that. I really, really. Oh man, I really hope people get that. That's funny. That's
right.
I'm hoping we get to go watch it this weekend. We have to get caught up. I still haven't seen Captain Marvel, so we got to figure out how we're going to make that work. But like with my daughter and with work and
what's I didn't realize that there were 20-something movies leading up to this.
Yeah,
and I don't think I've seen them all by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I can't keep track of what everything comes from.
I just got my wife into them, so with my daughter, we don't go out and watch movies a lot anymore. We got to get somebody to watch her. Mm-hmm. It's just too much of a hassle. So it's like, we'll just whatever we can rent. And with Infinity War that was coming out, where they were that was the big one that was coming up where they were really pushing.
See, that one I actually saw in the theater.
Oh, okay.
But we were out in Vegas.
No lines.
No lines.
I was about to say nobody goes because they're all gambling. And...
Pretty much, and I'm not a big gambler. I'm not good at it.
Mm-hmm. So you don't want to waste your money. I could totally see you.
Like $15 for a movie, and then I get something for it for the 2.5 hours that I'm sitting there. I'm in.
I was about to say, so my wife got into it, so we just started going through all of them because we had seen some of them, but there's like an order that you're supposed to go through. So we looked that up, and there's ones that she hadn't seen.
That's a heck
some
of
them are
binge.
on Netflix. Some of them, this has been for a while. Like we've been going through this of just like, we'll watch this one, we'll watch this one. Not gonna lie, the only ones I don't watch are the Hulk movies. It's been done so many times, and I love him in the Avengers. I think he's a great piece within that, but I don't love just the solo ones with that. I'm not gonna lie. I get it. I know the hardcore fans are like, dude, it's a part of the story. I'm like, I know, I got it. I understand his story. They tried it 4 or 5 times. But I mean, this movie, it's insane when you talk about putting demand on people's time. Like after this weekend spending time with our docs and figuring things out, and we went into a lot of stuff, and one of the things was just being disciplined, and especially with our time as we start to get busier and grow where we want to grow. And of course, being in the car for 12 to 13 hours, you start thinking about the process of time and how that's valuable, and how that's even a part of a sales process sometimes, especially if you're someone like me who has a service, that you have to be able to get someone's time from them. And that's something that you have to understand and respect. Well, with this movie, it's 3 hours long. And people are just like hand over fist. Yep, watch it again, watch it again.
Here's my money.
I'm like, a 3-hour movie, that is intense.
So here's a question I have for you. If the theaters rolled in $1.2 billion on the movie ticket, what do you think they did in like popcorn and candy and soda?
Probably.
That's like way overpriced for normally for what we typically anticipate. I mean, you think that's like
does that have to be 10 times what they did for that?
Hundreds of millions, or is it over $1 billion across all theaters?
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be.
I mean, is the average?
Because I think if you're
cost
going
in your mind more or less than the tickets to get in.
It depends on how many people you're taking. So, like, think for you, for instance,
figure
with
a family
2 kids.
of 4.
Yeah, family of 4.
So it's what, like $12-15 a ticket?
Yep.
So that's $60 to go to the theater.
Yep.
That's without stopping at Dollar Tree and buying candy and junk like that to take in with you.
Now I was about to say, stop.
I'm that guy, all right, people?
Well,
and I know a lot of you out there are too.
Yep, I was about to say, I'm that guy too, especially when it comes to like even just taking in water. I'm the person that's like, I like to have some popcorn. I like my salty snacks. So I'm like, I want water with me, and I'm not paying $12 for a 1 liter Dasani bottle that I could buy for $1.60 at the gas station.
Yeah.
It's insane. So
or even 79 cents if you get it as part of the package.
Yeah,
Costco or Sam's Club. I mean, like.
But I'm the one that always, like, I'll have my wife, I'm like, I fill this thing up, and I'm like, hey, throw this in your purse. Or if I've got a jacket, like, I'm totally that person too. But we're one of those people where we're like, popcorn's about it. That's about the extent that we'll go. Maybe if I was like, oh, hey, something chocolatey to go with that, I'm like, sure. That's about the extent. But I would think for someone like you, I don't know how you are with the kids or with anything, but like, if it's a drink, that's what, $6-7, and they're always going to get you with the upcharge because the small's $6, the medium $7, but the large is only $8.
I think the average family of 4 likely spends about $100 to go to a movie for 2.5 hours. And now you could order beer, like you go to Alamo, you could order beer.
Oh yeah, you can order beer and food and all the.
Pretty crazy.
So yeah, I would think that that's got to be right there up with that, if not even surpassing the amount of ticket sales. Because if you're going to get them there, not everyone is that person. There are people that are that person that sneak stuff in and do all that, and there are people that do both, like I do. I sneak in what I want to drink, and then I'll get stuff. Like I try to balance it out.
Like if I want popcorn, I'm going to get it at the theater. Yeah, that good buttered popcorn. But man, $4.50, $6 for a box of M&Ms.
Well, and it's all those
you
things.
Really gotta want it. I'd rather eat Easter candy in August than have $4.50 for a box of M&Ms.
Well, and it's that marketing structure. Like I said, it's the pay structure. You're just like, they get that like extra buck out of you every time because you're like, I might as well pay the
It's a
$8 to get the large, and I get a free refill. So
it's a convenience fee. I used to always say convenience kills, because everything convenient costs more. From the gallon of milk right down the street at the local service station versus dragging your butt up to the grocery store. I mean, it's like a almost $1 to $2 variance.
So that's like a perfect thing into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, just really quick, that I want to cover. And this might be something that we have to dive into more. The on-demand economy that you have, do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? Because with what you're talking about, it's convenience. Everything, even healthcare, like we had to discuss and talk about things are moving into, if you're not convenient, you become irrelevant. And do we have to be aware of that?
So we spoke about this with Angie a little bit.
True.
Right? It depends what side of this you're on. I mean, like we spoke on that last episode back with Angie. We are conditioning society for right now. So with every action, there's a reaction. So the question is, enough of right now happens, what is the adverse effect when it doesn't happen right now? Both mentally, both physically. We've got companies like Amazon and Walmart that are aiming for not even next day delivery, same day delivery.
Same day, yeah.
Right?
Amazon
how
Prime
does that
now.
How does that impact your buying decision? How does that impact your behavior if you can't get it right now? How bad do you need it right now versus the dopamine hit of cool that I could have this in my possession?
Well, and there's like there's got to be something to that of just like how that makes us in our decisions about other things. Like, even if you're the person that's like, I'm not like that, it's like it almost conditions you, like we're talking about, to be one of those people that's like, well, if I can't get it now, screw it, I'm not going to buy it there. I'll go somewhere else, or I'll look. Like, I'm going to go to the person that can get it to me right now, because that's what I need. I'm sure you might even deal with that with what you do. I know I deal with it, but in a different way. People want me to fix them right now. I want you to fix this.
Yeah, even when I came to see you, I'm like, what do you mean you're not going to adjust me today? I know what's wrong. This is what's going on, and you had to slow the process down. A lot of the local orders that we see come in, at least right now, as we're still getting our footing, is last minute, right? Because if they want to go long term and they got 3 to 4 to 6 to 8 weeks and they're ahead of the game on planning, look, man, it's tough to beat China. And when they screw you, you got no real recourse and you can't fix it. I mean, we just got a bunch of stuff from an event, not that we sold, that we received in a goodie bag, and like some of the engravings were off center. The reality is, you order 10,000 pieces, there's going to be some imperfection, and nobody's really quality checking any of that.
No, it's like
when it really matters, or when it really counts, you want that stuff done right. So it goes back to the triple threat. It's like speed, quality, and cost. Pick two, but you can't have all three. And I almost wonder if it's getting to a pick one, right? Because if it's like, hey, if it's quality, you're willing to wait for it. If it's cost, you're almost anticipating that the quality is going to be good because the cost is high.
Yeah. Or if it's low, you're expecting the quality to be down,
to be
and
crap.
It might take a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
And then speed. I mean, speed is where big business is focusing right now. 100%. Everyone is trying to get it in your hands faster than everybody else, and it's ultimately us that's driving it. We're saying, oh, this is fantastic.
Well, and everyone wants to distribute through, Amazon is the ultimate distributor. Oh, hey, we'll have this stuff on our website. We'll still do e-commerce. We'll have some of our business there. But I see all these businesses all the time now. Oh, yeah, we also sell on Amazon.
Right.
It's like, because if I don't.
Think about fast food, right? I mean, you've got two angles there, right? One is fast food still fast. We know it's not necessarily always good for you, right? Depending on what you're eating and the frequency you're eating it. But you roll up to a restaurant that has a drive-through window. How do you make the decision whether you drive through or not? Am I too lazy to get out of my car? Is the line long? Right? What are we looking at here?
Well, yeah, it's how fast can I get through this? Oh, outside looks long, inside doesn't.
Or you order and the people are driving slow. It's like, come on, man! Like, what the heck did you order? Why is it taking so long to get your damn hamburger? Like, why'd you order 30 burgers through the drive-thru? Like, who does that? And you're sitting there like just getting, your blood pressure's increasing. You're getting irate.
I am that person on some situations.
Right?
Where I'm
totally.
and I'm like, what is taking so long? Is it really that? I'm totally that person.
Sometimes
is it really that hard?
I see that giant line, and then I'm like, there's parking spots here. Like, I'm going in.
So
right?
that happened to me on the way back
I'm
yesterday.
Like, can I get through quicker inside? And there's no guarantee, but in my mind, I'm like, man, if there's nobody inside, like my thing's gonna get handled because they got to look at me.
Yep.
Right. It's not like they're waiting for the car to come around, number whatever. Yep. Now I'm a face, and I'm sitting there like,
that's
where's my lemonade? You know.
Yep. That's strategy, though. That's we talk about this all the time, not even just on here, but just strategy in almost anything. Like I love strategy in everything, and I did the same thing. I have been driving for about 3 or 4 hours, and I was like, man, now's about the right time. Like I like to get a coffee, get out for a minute, I'll use the bathroom. Like I'll just chill for a second, I'll get right back in the car, look up on my phone. There's a Starbucks. I'm like, cool, I'll go there. Pull up to this Starbucks, line going crazy for the drive-thru. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go inside. Surely it's not that bad. So I was like, I'll go inside. I'll use the bathroom. Come out. I'll get my order. Went in to use the bathroom. Walk back out. I don't know if it was just that time or what, like how I hit it. Dude, that line was like curled back over to the door. And I was like, never mind. I'm going to try the drive-thru then and see that. It's always the opposite of whatever you said. It's like, if it's crazy outside, it's like, oh, they got to get to the inside person. Or if it's crazy inside, it's like, oh, they'll just make sure the drive-thru people stay good. There's someone designated to that. I went outside. The drive-thru line was curled up and around too in this giant parking lot. And I was like, I guess I'll just wait. I don't need coffee right now. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and wait for this. Because I had to drive. I'm thinking about when am I going to get home. And I was like, I just waited. I went to a different one, and luckily that worked out. But I was like, I'm not going to sit around and wait for this.
Like even for gasoline, 2 of my vehicles are diesel powered, right? Which means usually most gas stations there's only two or 4 pumps that have diesel. And if I drive by, we got a few minutes left. If I drive by and there's cars sitting there already filling up, I keep going. I mean, unless I'm on like fumes. But gas is a real interesting thing as well, right? And this is where I think kind of the pendulum swings back and forth. For those of you in IT, you've seen these environments where it's like, let's outsource everything. And then you've also seen the other side of the pendulum, let's bring everything in-house, let's do it ourselves. And if you look at fuel, as an example, back in the 50s and 60s, nobody got out of the car to fill their own thing. Right? There was no self-service. There was a gas station attendant, and they came out, and they filled your car up, and they checked air in your tires, and
they
cleaned
did
your
everything.
windshield, and they took care of it all, which you would think would be like really hot right now in the right now, we need it now economy.
I know. I'm like, is anyone doing that? That would be interesting.
Well, last I heard or saw when I was younger, this was, I don't know, before I moved out here, when I was still living in New York, in New Jersey, they still did it. Now, I don't know that that's still the case, so if any of you up in the Northeast are watching, or tell us, I'd be really curious to know.
Oregon doesn't let you pump your own gas.
Oregon?
Nope, they don't let you pump your own gas.
So, I mean, and that could be a legality. It could be, but from a service aspect, there's something where it was like, hey, we got away from this, and the pendulum kind of swung the other way. So, do we think the right now economy is here to stay? I mean, when 3D printing came on the scene, I was sitting here like, man, that's cool. Like, can a 3D printer become an appliance? And now it's like you buy something and you just 3D print it to the printer in your house. You don't even have to ship. Like vision-wise, that could be a thing. And they're not just 3D printing. Like they could 3D print clothing. They could 3D print objects. But now they're also 3D printing metals. Like amazing stuff. Not granted, I mean, those are like, today, they're millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars pieces of equipment. But 10, 15 years from now, does that become
It'll catch up.
commonplace? Like, oh, we need new forks. Well, pick your design and hit print and go over to your printer in 40 minutes and they're done. And now
Bath
there's
and
no
Beyond
shipping.
will have them. Yeah, it'll be,
It could be. It'll probably. You're right. It'll probably start off where it's an in-store pickup, but it'll be like minutes. Or it'll get to that further point where it's in-house and it'll kind of be, kind of created. That's another topic for another day. I think.
No, that's one that could be dove into a little bit because I think that could even be a unique business model. Let's say if even you were out here and you're like, if let's say you had, I'm just thinking from this thing of like self-serving gas. I don't know why you got me on this thing, and I'm thinking like that would be an interesting business model just to shake things up. Like, would people purposely go to you because they like all the things that you do? Like,
well, now you've got another end, right? You've seen some of these tankers rolling around. They'll come to your house and fill up your car.
It's true,
right? And there's a premium.
Yep, they're businesses now,
but they'll come to you. So how does that change?
Interesting.
Right?
So then you're just a mobile, loading people.
And
up,
we're not even talking the electric cars yet. This is just still fossil fuel.
Which I think will take us a while to get out of, but we'll see.
There's just no telling. I mean, Moore's Law. I mean, everything's exponentially improving at a faster pace than it ever has.
But I mean, I think if you took it as like the Chick-fil-A model, like Chick-fil-A it knows how to get things set up to get people through on the drive-thru to do that. If you had the ability to achieve something similar to that at a gas station where you've got, you know, we hire 2 people per station, they cost us this much, but we can get this many more people through with this model, and we have one person that's pumping the gas and checking the tires, the other person washes all the windows, does whatever, checks this super quick for you.
Or somehow build that experience.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like, everything now is about an experience.
Like you go to the airport and you park, you come out, you pay for your thing. Would you like a bottle of water? Mm-hmm. And there's still a human there taking your money. Mm-hmm. All right, so you still have an interaction touch. Whereas others might be like, well, you know, I get a free bottle of water. Company's paying for the parking. Mm-hmm. I'm going to park here.
Yep.
And people make decisions because of that.
Well, yeah, it's all about it's what you talk about. Oh, I like to go to Costco because I get free food on this day or anything like that. Like, they know that drives people there. Plus, they can sell if somebody likes whatever it is that they're trying. Ooh, that was good. I want to get that. Like, it's brilliant, but I don't know. It would be a unique business model. I would be interested to see
like like going back to a full service automotive.
Yeah, like because situation. That's experience is a big thing right now. That's why I go to the place where I go to get my haircut. Like we talked about going to your barber and finding all that. Like I'd never had that experience, and now that kind of thing is coming back where it's like, no, you go to the old school barber shop and they literally straight razor, you know, cleaning your beard up.
Because it's a little bit of a pampering.
And it's an experience that you go and you're like, hell yeah, man, this is the thing. Which I'm getting ready to go to on Wednesday, so pumped about. All right, Scott. Let's see if we can do it.
This is pretty sage advice. I mean, final thought is be careful when asking for the status on sausage. And I think that's just really good advice. I mean, because the way it was said, how long is the sausage going to be? I mean, that's a dangerous one. I'm grateful she didn't ask, when is the sausage coming out? That could have been equally damaging.
Yeah, right? That would have been a little bit more aggressive.
I mean, how would you ask for that status on sausage?
The other one's a little bit more benign. You can remove yourself. You're like, it's about this. The other one is like, that's almost in reference to you of like, could be right now.
It's like, what are you doing? What do you got going on the next 90 seconds? Right?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, how would you ask for it? Can you tell me the status on the sausage? That probably would be the most politically correct, where I couldn't kind of...
Yeah, where are we at with the sausage? What's the timeline on the sausage?
What's the timeline on this? That's probably the safest way.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. When asking for the status on sausage, you want to find out what the timeline is on the sausage.
I'm Dr. Brandon Brown, and I approve this message.
I mean, we could say 90 seconds.
We could say, yeah. And Arya starts a boss. Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.